Hi everyone, my name is Bilikis. You're welcome to my channel. If this is your first time of checking out this channel, make sure you subscribe. Hit the red button right down there, yes, and click on the notification bell. This helps you get a notification each time I put up a video. But before we go over to what we have to do today, I want to tell you that the tools are still very much available. The hip cup, the pan cup, and the handhold cup. In case you are interested, I will put in the comment box below the contact number in which you can get to us. So if you are interested, just get in touch with us. So today we will be making a lovely flared dress. It will be gathered at the lower part. So I will just show you what it looks like. So here now, what I have here, this is what the dress looks like. You can see it from here to here is the length of the dress. Like the length of my dress is 45 inches. That is from the nape of my neck down to where I want the dress to stop is actually 45 inches. And then while cutting, we need this main dress, this main fabric. So from this part to where the gown, the main dress will stop, that will be 35 inches. And looking at this part, we have two gathered fabrics here. This will be gathered. It's gathered. So this on the lower side is longer than this. So for this longer part, it will be 10 inches because remember I said from my nape, from the nape of my neck to the end of the dress, I want it to be 45 inches. And the main dress is already 35 inches. So this longer gathered fabric will be 10 inches. While this lower one, I want it to be 6 inches. So because this is actually shorter. So for this long fabric, I will be using this yellow material. While for the shorter one, I will use this same main fabric. And you can also look at the upper part here. It has a collar. Yeah, here. I will also use this yellow fabric to make this collar. And trust me, it is so easy. It is a normal waist dash dress. I've made a detailed video on this, but I will just start all over again for those that are just joining my channel. So right now, let's get started. Here, my fabric is on fold. So what I need to do is to get the baseline. So this is where all my measurements will start from. The first step is half of my armhole, which is 8.5 inches. So the next thing from here is my waist, because this is a waist that dress, so it is so easy. So half of my armhole, the next thing will be my waist, which is 16 inches. The next thing will be my hip measurements, which is 24. Then the length of the dress. We are cutting the main dress first before the gathered ones. So, and I said I want it to end at 35, but remember I will need 1 inch for the joining, that is for joining this main fabric to the gathered lower fabric. So I'll make it 36 inches. So looking at this, the remaining part can still be enough for the shorter gathered fabric, because here I have almost 8 inches, so I can use this part for the shorter gathered fabric. The next thing now is to turn all these points into a straight line. So now for the upper part, we need to determine the shoulder measurement. If you've been following my channel diligently, you'll be familiar with the 3 inches, 8 inches standard to determine the slope. This is 3 inches. The next one will be 8 inches. The next thing is to come down by 1 inch from this part. Then take my ruler to connect the slope. So this is what I have. So for the shoulder measurement now, I can now insert my shoulder measurements. For instance, my shoulder measurements is 8.5 inches. That is after dividing it by 2. So I have that here. I will insert it also on the chest line and draw a straight line. For instance, if your shoulder measurement is 7 inches, you need to move forward. So that will be somewhere here. Can you see that? So if it is more, you go forward. That is that. So before finishing the armhole, what I'll do now is to insert my horizontal measurements. For instance, here I will insert my bust measurement. That will be quarter of my bust. Quarter of my bust is 10.5 inches, which I will insert here. And then 1 inch will be to join the sides together. Then I'll go over to my waist. My waist is, quarter of my waist is 9.5. So that will be here. But we will still alter this because we will have the waist dart. But I will just put that there. So let me just leave that before adding that. Then for my hip measurement, quarter of my hip is 11 inches, which is here. Then I'll add 1 inch to this. Then on where I want the main dress to stop, I can just decide to use this exact hip measurement here. Or better still, if you want it tapered, if you want it to show how curvy you have, you just take away 1 inch from whatever you have here. But if you are not the hippie type, just use whatever you have here. So since I use 11 inches here, as I said, quarter of my waist is 11 inches. So here I will use 10 inches. You could even decide to use 9.5 or even 9, depending on how curvy you are. So this is what I have here. The next thing, before connecting it, remember I said it's a waist dart dress and it's like the easiest thing to do. All you need is half of your bust span, that is the distance from one nipple to another. Like half of mine is 4.5. And insert also, this is the chest line, 4.5 here, and I will come here 4.5. That's what I have. So now on the waistline, just go in half an inch on both sides, half an inch here, half an inch here, and then I will connect with my ruler. To make it easier, this point, the initial bust point, just make a straight line. This will make it easier for you. So then I went in on the waistline, half an inch inward. Can you see? Half an inch here, half an inch here. So here now, I always advise to come down by 1 inch from the chest line, and from the hip you go up by 2 inches. Then the next thing is to connect to the upper point. And that's all on the waist dart. So this is what you will be taking in when you are sewing. So remember I said for the waist dart we went in half an inch on both sides, so we will be taking this in. So if I use my exact waist measurement, then it will be short. So what I will do is that, since I said quarter of my waist is 9.5, which I have here, but remember half an inch is going in on both sides, that's 1. So I will have to add this extra 1 to this measurement. So now my waist measurement will be this. And you see that. So from here I will now add the extra 1 inch for the side seam allowance. So the next thing now is to connect. The next thing will be the equal. So now we use the lower part to connect from here to the end of the main dress. So as good as done. So now let's go over to the armhole area. So for the armhole, I will just get the midpoint of this line. Go in by 3/3/4 inch, that is 3/4 inch, that is 3/4 inch. You go in by that. After doing that, I will take my armhole curve. So with the armhole curve, I'll collect the upper part and place it from here to join this part. Then for the back, this is for the front, and for the back, should be as good as done. Then for the neckline, for the width, I will make it 4 inches. But remember, from here to here is 3 inches. So the remaining 1 inch will be along this slope. this is 4. And then for the depth, I will make it 4 inches or 3.5. 3.5 inches will be fine. Then I will use my armhole curve tool. So this is for the front armhole. Then for the back, for the front neckline. So for the back neckline, I will just come down by 1 inch. So we have both the front neckline and the back neckline. So the next thing now is to add the sewing allowance for the shoulder area. I will just add 1/2 inch to that. So this is 1/2 inch here. 1/2 inch here. So this is the sewing allowance. So the next thing now is to cut out my fabric. So right now I'll cut the back neckline for, because this will be a pattern for the back panel. And then the back armhole first. This is what we'll have for the dress. Then I will fold now for the back panel. So right now I've placed the front panel on the remaining fabrics. So before placing it, I left 1 inch all through from the beginning down to where I want the top to end. Why did I do this? This will be for the zipper allowance. You can make it 1.5 inches depending on your choice. So placing it on it will be after the 1 inch line. So the next thing now, because this what we have right now is for the back, I will just cut it out, then show you what it looks like. So right now, after tracing it out, this is what it looks like. So the back neckline. Then I will just pick up the waist area and notches. So this side has to match when you are sewing. And the hip area, then I will notch. So for the dart for the back, it's just the same way we have done this. But remember, it should be after this 1 inch line. So for the back, you come down by 1 inch. But here, remember, for the front we came up by 2 inches. So for the back, you just come up by 1 inch. That is the difference. So having done that, I can now open up the back panel, because there will be a zipper here. So with this, we'll now come back to the front panel. So what do we do to that? I will now trace up the front neckline and then the front armhole, and then we can go to the gathered fabric. So this is for the front and this is for the back. So right now let's go to the gathered fabric. So the next thing now is for these two lower gathered fabric. This is the shorter one, which will make use of this main fabric. And here I said I want the shorter one to be 6, while this longer one will be 10 inches. So for instance, this I made it 12 inches. Reason being that I would need hemming allowance for the lower part and for the upper part. So I made it 12 inches. And for the shorter one, I made it 8 inches because I will be trimming this off. I made it 3 inches. But I needed 6 inches, so I added extra 2 inches to it to make it 8. So now to get the width of the fabric, the length is 6, so I made it 8 because of the hemming allowance. So what I just did was that quarter of my hip measurement I said was 11 on fold. So now for the gathered fabric on fold, I made it 11 inches times 3. If you don't have enough fabric, you can make it times 2 or times 2.5. So I made mine times 3. So I have 33 inches on fold. So this will be for the front panel, and this will be for the back panel. So I made 2 of these. And for the longer fabric, so we will be gathering this. Can you see this? I made this more because it is the lower one. Can you see this? Here I have 36. I just added 3 extra 3 inches because I want it to be a bit fuller than that of the shorter one. So this is for the back panel. So this is for the front and this is for the back. All these fabrics will be gathered. Now we'll go over to the collar. So the next thing now is to cut this collar, this front collar. Note, the collar starts from the edge of the fabric. So by the time you hem the main fabric and then the collar, it will be the same size. So what I did was that I folded my fabric right side facing each other. So on fold, I folded it this way, then I folded again. Can you see that? So you need the front panel of your dress. And all you have to do is to place it this way. Make sure the folded part is on the folded parts. Can you see that? You can just pin it down. Move it down a little. Can you see that? Then I will just trace this out. Can you see that? And the next thing is to do this. Then here, just curve it a little. Can you see that? Then I will remove this. Then you decide the length of your collar, considering the hemming allowance for the upper part and also for the lower part of the collar. So for this part, I'll just make it 4.5 inches. And just come here a little, 4.5. So the next thing is to connect it. So I have my collar ready, and I will trim it. Remember, I included the hemming allowance for the shoulder part here because also this will be going in with the shoulder seam allowance. Two of this is needed. That was why I folded twice. Can you see that? So by the time you hem the upper part and the lower part, it will be shorter. So I will just show you the front panel and the gathered part, how it will look like after sewing. So this is what it will look like after sewing. Firstly, you need to take in your darts on both sides, and this is for the longer fabric. This is where the main dress ends. So you attach all these. This is the shorter gathered fabric. Can you see that? So this will be on this while you attach that to this. And for the collar, this is what it looks like. Can you see that? It ends with this. So the first thing you will do is this. Turn it to the wrong side. Let's assume this is the wrong side. You just take in whatever hemming allowance you left for it. After doing that, just give it some notches and then you turn it to the right side this way. So it will be shorter before attaching to the neck region. You do the same thing also for the back panel. The back panel doesn't have any collar. So all you have to do is take in your dart, fit your sleeve and add the lower fabric and sew it together. I hope my tutorial has been helpful. If it has, give me a thumbs up and do not forget to share with your friends. You can follow me on Bilikis Signature on Instagram. Join us also on our Facebook group, Sewing Innovations. I will be waiting for you there. Bye for now.